Tonight, a one-off tax break for 10 million Australians in a budget blitz.
This is a budget for Australian families.
Also, superstars line up to pay tribute to Shane Warne at his state memorial. Will Smith says sorry as he faces an Oscars backlash. Liberal leader Matthew Guy forced into home quarantine and launches a cheeky push for new isolation rules. And flood victims facing fresh heartache and evacuation orders.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. The Morrison government is just an hour away from delivering a budget boost for families as part of a package to tackle the rising cost of living. Millions of Australians will get an extra $420, but 7 News can reveal it won't land in their pockets for months.
Some budget day blooms from the office cleaners
It's all good, mate.
on his biggest day so far as Treasurer.
This is a budget for Australian families.
With cost of living relief for most workers, but not until the end of the financial year. An extra $420 on top of the existing tax offset for 10 million Australians earning below $126,000. A total tax rebate of up to $1,500, costing the budget $4.1 billion. The low and middle tax offset, the so-called Lamito, then abolished. The government deciding against immediate bonus payments, except for pensioners, still in line for about $250.
Cost of living relief now, in a temporary, targeted and responsible way.
Including a cut in fuel excise to help with soaring petrol prices. And as 7 News revealed last night, the budget will predict unemployment falling below 4% mid-year to just 3.75%, with 700,000 fewer people on welfare and 1.2 million more in jobs, saving $11 billion.
Unemployment forecast to be the lowest in my lifetime, Josh. 1974 I saw.
That's right. Well, I was born in 1971. So.
That's
And 7 News can reveal the budget will predict wages growth to finally outstrip inflation in the next 4 years, delivering workers their first real wage rise in a decade. The budget papers wheeled through Parliament containing big announcements already made. $10 billion for an East Coast submarine base, $4.3 billion to upgrade Perth's Henderson Naval Yard, $2.2 billion to commercialise research, $2 billion for a Moderna vaccine plant in Melbourne, a $500 million upgrade of NBN speeds in rural and regional areas, and a $365 million extension of apprenticeship wage subsidies. And another $18 billion of infrastructure, announcements to be made in local electorates during the coming campaign in a seat-by-seat strategy to retain power.
This will be a panicked, desperate, tapped-out budget from a panicked and desperate and clapped-out government.
The Treasurer says he'll be sharing the goodies.
You know my wife is coming up late, so I'm going to tell her I bought her some roses.
Good idea.
Hoping voters give his budget the thumbs up. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Elton John, Robbie Williams and Ed Sheeran will headline the list of global superstars paying tribute to Shane Warne at the MCG tomorrow night. 50,000 people are expected to attend the memorial, with extra public transport scheduled to get them there.
Shane Warne's closest mates.
This is the sort of send-off he would have absolutely loved, where he's the centre of attention.
Fans to whom he was larger than life.
Yeah, it'll be pretty spectacular to go to cherish it forever.
Among more than 50,000 who've reserved seats at the uniquely Warney State Memorial.
This is going to be just one of the great events in the history of this city and this country.
Reach out, reach out.
Live performances, including from John Stevens, recorded tributes from Ed Sheeran,
Shane Warne, everybody, thank you.
Coldplay's Chris Martin and Elton John.
Oh, it's handstand, it's taken. What the catch, that's...
His great West Indian rival Brian Lara will attend in person, as will Pakistani legend Wasim Akram. A recorded message from Indian icon Sachin Tendulkar.
Shows the impact that he had all around the world in international cricket. He made cricket look cool. He made it look entertaining.
Messages too from the Minogue sisters Russell Crowe and Warren's former fiancée, Liz Hurley. Up to 15,000 tickets still available for the event to be broadcast live on 7. The finale officially renaming the Great Southern Stand the Shane Warne Stand. Organisers say all this was done in conjunction with the Warne family. They're convinced this is exactly what Shane would have wanted.
He'll be bloody annoyed he's missed it. I know that. This sort of shindig would be right up his alley.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
Hollywood star Will Smith has now publicly apologised to Chris Rock for his bizarre onstage attack, describing his behaviour as inexcusable and violent. It came hours after the Academy launched a review into the assault, raising questions over whether Smith could be stripped of his Oscar.
Flaunting his prized gold statue and dancing to his own hit song. Will Smith and the entire family arrived at the Oscars after party beaming as this moment was making headlines around the world. A primetime slapdown that stole the show.
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth!
After a tearful apology to the Academy in his acceptance speech for Best Actor,
Hope the Academy invites me back.
today a personal apology to Chris Rock. I would like to publicly apologise to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. He called the moment unacceptable and inexcusable. Violence in all of its forms is poisonous and destructive, but added a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear and I reacted emotionally. Smith is finding some support in Hollywood.
Some people just snap. He snapped. I wish I had a man to protect me like that.
But condemnation from the Academy, which only hours earlier announced it's launched a formal review and will explore further action and consequences. Whether that includes handing back his career-first Oscar is unclear, though many in Hollywood pointed out convicted rapist Harvey Weinstein kept his. The Academy may be horrified by the headlines, but in a town where ratings matter, there was a boost in viewer numbers. Still a long way off the Oscars' heydays, nonetheless unforgettable. In Los Angeles, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
Back home now, and the Premier and State Opposition Leader are now both in 7 days isolation after Matthew Guy's son tested positive. The Liberal leader is using his forced stay at home to push for an urgent overhaul of Victoria's COVID rules.
Matthew Guy has a busy week of ISO ahead.
Work, cooking and coffee. For the person who has COVID, he's staying in there.
His 9-year-old son woke with a cough, testing positive before school, forcing the entire family into 7 days at home.
I'm negative, the other boys and Renee are all negative, but that's what Victorians are living with. No wonder half the state's in a semi-lockdown.
The opposition leader says the household isolation rule lacks common sense.
We've got thousands of people sitting at home who are constantly reporting negative tests, which affects hospitality, which affects so many different industries.
Daily cases have jumped to just under 11,000. Rising COVID cases are putting increasing pressure on Melbourne workplaces, but epidemiologists say it's still too early to change isolation rules.
We need to understand if that risk is shifting. It could be a manageable risk if you had people without symptoms who tested negative on RAT being able to move around, at least with masks on.
Both leaders are now in isolation after the Premier tested positive yesterday. Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
A private equity giant is a step closer to taking over Crown Resorts. The Foreign Investment Review Board says it has no objection to Blackstone's acquisition of the casino operator. The deal still needs the green light from gaming regulatory authorities, Crown shareholders and the courts. Residents in parts of New South Wales hardest hit during the recent flood disaster have again faced evacuation orders. The new rain emergency has already cost 2 lives in Queensland.
Northern Rivers residents told to get out by 4 p.m. and brace for another round of destruction.
Many buildings, particularly those who were inundated just 1 month ago, are expected to flood again.
Everyone's exhausted, to be honest with you. We're just tired, 4 weeks solid of cleaning up, go through the prospect of doing it all again.
Some relief this evening for weary residents. The Wilsons River has steadied. Heavy rainfall in excess of 200 millimetres now has Coffs Harbour in its sights.
That is likely to lead to dangerous flash flooding, causing life-threatening conditions.
2 men have died in floodwaters in southeast Queensland. Motorists are cut off from a major Gold Coast hinterland road as one lane crumbled in a massive landslide. While low-lying homes in the town of Dalby were impacted, residents fled to evacuation centres.
We ended up having about 15 minutes to pack everything and leave.
Locals returning today to assess the damage, finding a soggy piglet scrambling to safety. In Sodden, Sydney, a 25-metre gum tree came crashing down while 81-year-old Rosalie was cooking in the kitchen.
Just a mess. It can be fixed. It's life. We go on.
Jade Vincent, 7 News.
Overseas, new face-to-face peace talks between Russia and Ukraine will get underway in Istanbul in the next hour. Ukrainian authorities are insisting they won't be making any concessions on territory. Europe Bureau Chief Hugh Whitfeld is in Kiev tonight. Hugh, what are both sides hoping to achieve?
Well, Peter, Ukraine wants an immediate ceasefire, and there are reports Moscow might be willing to allow it to join the EU, but not NATO. That would be a major concession. However, there are fears the Kremlin might be using the cover of these talks disingenuously to allow their own troops to regroup, recalibrate, and potentially launch new attacks on the capital. The negotiations between presidential advisers getting underway right now are taking place under a new cloud, a classic Russian tactic. Alleged poisonings. Negotiators arrive in Turkey for a new round of peace talks. While there's hope of a breakthrough this time, the focus now is on what might have happened at earlier talks. Russian billionaire and Putin confidant Roman Abramovich allegedly poisoned along with 2 Ukrainian negotiators at a meeting in early March. They suffered peeling skin and loss of sight for several hours. All have now recovered. The suspected attack blamed on Russian hardliners in a bid to sabotage peace moves.
I'm not walking anything back.
This as the US president refuses to back away from his comments that Vladimir Putin be removed from power.
I want to make it clear. I wasn't then, nor am I now, articulating a policy change. I was expressing the moral outrage that I feel, and I make no apologies.
Moral outrage over the daily attacks on civilians after 34 days of war. Outside St Michael's Cathedral in Kyiv, locals have taken it upon themselves to guard the patron saint of Orthodox Christians, St Olga, from potential attack. You hope this isn't going to be needed, don't you? I believe it won't be necessary, he says, but she's sandbagged, just in case. Protecting the heart of Kyiv remains crucial, but the city centre itself is yet to come under direct attack, and those missiles that were being directed at apartment blocks earlier in the war seem to have abated. The fighting, though, continues on the northern outskirts of the city, where artillery battles go on.
Доброго дня, Ірпінська громада.
The local mayor says Irpin, just outside Kyiv, is now clear of Russian troops, but still too dangerous for residents to return. To the east of the capital, the human toll isn't just measured in lives lost, but livelihoods shattered. It looks like a natural disaster. Maybe a cyclone has come through here. But this is the destruction caused by multiple Russian Iskander missiles. The missile that landed here, one of 3 fired at this village. The Ukrainians say it could have been fired from hundreds of kilometres away, possibly even Belarus, and they are adamant there were no military facilities in this village. Some locals have had enough. How can we live after this? Our house is destroyed, Tamara says. She has packed her bags. A friend has come to collect her. She is leaving to what she believes will be the safety of a town further from the front line, perhaps closer to safety. In Kyiv, Ukraine, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
The royal family is gathering in London this evening to honour the life and legacy of the Duke of Edinburgh almost 1 year after his death. Europe correspondent Sarah Greenhalgh is at Westminster Abbey this evening. And Sarah, the Queen has been actively involved in planning this service.
She has, Peter. Good evening. And she very much hopes to be here, but Her Majesty's attendance or otherwise will be confirmed by the Palace shortly. It could be the 95-year-old's first major public appearance since recovering from COVID. This service of Thanksgiving for Prince Philip will incorporate elements that were planned for the Duke's funeral last year that couldn't go ahead at the time due to pandemic restrictions. No one could forget that image of Her Majesty grieving alone in St George's Chapel. By contrast, this service here at the Abbey where the couple was married will be a celebration of his life. We are expecting around 1,800 guests, including the British Prime Minister, members of the armed forces, other European royals, and of course members of the family, including Prince Andrew. Among the notable absentees, Harry and Meghan, said to be too nervous about flying here to London without police protection. Now, due to the Queen's ongoing mobility issues, Palace aides have no doubt taken steps to ensure her comfort. If she does come, we could see her arrive away from the cameras, or she may use that walking stick. But Peter, by all accounts, she is determined to be here.
Sarah Greenhalgh in London, thank you. Back home now, and apartments are about to go on sale in what will be Australia's tallest tower. Blake Johnson, it'll be a new landmark for Melbourne.
Well, that's what developers hope, Pete. It'll go right here, replacing the BMW dealership on City Road. South Bank by Beulah will be about 50 metres taller than any other tower in the country. Apartment prices ranging from $500,000 to $35 million. But with the way the pandemic has changed our lives and the way we work, will this enormous development be enough to convince people to move back to the city? $3 billion, 2 iconic towers. New renders show South Bank by Beulah's final form when finished in 5 years.
It's the tallest vertical garden in the world.
Apartments go on sale this weekend. Developers claim 700 people have paid $5,000 holding deposits. But almost 400 other properties are listed for sale in South Bank, including some in the famed Australia 108 Tower. So how is this different?
We wanted to create something that would be alive 24/7 and something that's really going to activate South Bank.
Apartments, shops, offices, gardens, galleries, plus a hotel in the smaller tower.
I want to believe we don't do stock standard hotels, and this one will definitely be special.
The pandemic's changed the way cities flow. The Property Council says unique design should help this development stand out.
Particularly with so much emphasis on greenery and bringing to life that real naturalist aspect.
I think a city like Melbourne can and should sustain developments like that, but we need to talk about the whole of the development, not just a single tower.
Beulah headlines 40-odd buildings under construction across Docklands, the city, North Melbourne and South Bank. Even more are in the pipeline. Green developments are approved by council. The rest in blue await permit approval. A city forever changing.
I don't like to claim that something's iconic, but hopefully it will become an icon for Melbourne.
Blake Johnson, 7 News.
A big-name coach has taken aim at the AFL. Tim Watson, Michael Voss isn't happy.
Mitch is out of isolation and fired up. We'll hear from Vossi shortly. Also, a North Star discharged from hospital, but set for a lengthy stint on the sidelines. How the Premier's plan to deal with a potential Christian Petrarca tag, and Mitch, an Aussie legend, is coming out of retirement and headed to Victoria. We'll have details soon.
OK, thank you very much, Tim. The historic Sandown Racecourse could become home for thousands of families in Melbourne's southeast. The details are next on 7 News. Also, a mum's agonising message after the death of her son just before his 18th birthday. 1,000 reasons to smile and bargain tickets as the comedy festival kicks off. And later, an exclusive sneak preview of Melbourne's famous flower and garden show. Jane Bunn's live on location. Two men accused of stabbing a dying teenager as he lay defenceless on the ground are asking a judge for leniency. The 17-year-old victim was attacked in a Geelong shopping centre car park after two groups met for a fight.
Losing their brother to knife violence has destroyed these sisters' lives.
We don't have any hope for our future and we are just grieving all the time.
17-year-old Mohammed Mohammadi killed in a senseless stabbing attack outside the Corio Village shopping centre in 2020. Mohammadi was stabbed in the heart with a knife, a 17-year-old boy accused of delivering the fatal blow, before Alithwal and Yael Manyal also stabbed the teen as he lay dying on the ground. Both men asked a Supreme Court justice to release them on community corrections orders so they could be reunited with their families. But the Mohammadi family will never see their son again, who say he was so kind-hearted he donated part of his pay to charity.
He was very generous. He didn't want to hurt anyone. He was so kind, supportive, protective.
Mohammed Mohammadi was as generous in death as he was in life. The teenager's organs were donated when his life support was switched off, just days after his 18th birthday. The boy's mother told the court, "His tombstone is a place I spend my days and nights so I can gain some comfort. I will live my whole life with a hole in my heart." Estelle Greeping, 7 News.
Extinction Rebellion protesters have targeted the Ampol oil terminal in Newport. One activist chained herself to a gate while others had to be brought down by a cherry picker. The action ended peacefully just before lunchtime. It follows a similar protest yesterday at Mobile in Yarraville. Melbourne's southeast is set for a shake-up with plans to transform Sandown Racecourse into a multi-billion-dollar housing development. Property experts have welcomed the idea and say it will help more Victorians afford a home.
All 112 hectares of this historic racecourse
will win the Sandown Cup.
Could soon be turned into this, a new neighbourhood with around 7,500 homes.
Adding 7,500 houses in one swoop to an area will make housing more affordable, at least in the short term.
The redevelopment also includes plans for a school, offices, medical facilities and green open spaces.
A raceway is a big fat chunk of land where all of a sudden you can find space for plenty of properties at once, and there are very few pockets like this available.
But it would end 6 decades of racing history at Sandown, leaving local trainers furious.
43% of the horses in Victoria are trained in the southeast, and they want to sell our best racetrack. It's ludicrous, it's wrong.
Dandenong City councillors have agreed to seek permission from the Planning Minister to release the plans.
This will be the opportunity, once it is exhibited, for the community to examine these plans and have their say.
Melbourne Racing Club says no decision on the future of the racecourse will be made until it's completed extensive consultation with industry, members and the local community.
We feel like we've been hoodwinked a bit.
If it gets past the starting gate, the redevelopment would happen in 4 stages over 20 years. Sarah Jones, 7 News.
There are more than 500 shows to see at this year's Melbourne International Comedy Festival. More than 1,000 artists are staging performances over the next 3 weeks.
More than 90,000 tickets sold. There are shows basically all day, every day for the next 26 days.
Cheaper tickets are available on Tuesdays and there's a 10% discount when booking 3 or more shows. Jane Bunn joins us from Carlton Gardens tonight. And Jane, how does the weather look for the Flower and Garden Show?
Well, Mitch, we're expecting mild temperatures for the duration of the show, so the weather is perfect for exploring it all. Like this one, the ultimate chill-out zone, so you can travel to Bali without leaving home. These designs really do need to be seen to be believed, and the judges are right now deciding which one will be the winner. After a grey day, sunshine returned late this afternoon. We had a top of 20 in the city. Now, grey skies return tomorrow. You may actually need the umbrella late in the day. The full details are after sport, Mitch.
We'll see you then. Thanks very much, Jane. There's good and bad news on the car front. Next on 7 News, a crippling crisis for buyers, why it's even harder to get a new car, but there is an upside for some. Also coming up, help police catch a stabbing suspect hiding in the suburbs. The Magpies confess they have to do even better after a year of action on racism. And the best toys for your children put to the test by little experts. There's a new lead in the investigation into the stabbing death of a young basketball player at Docklands. Live now to Cameron Bowe, and Cameron police have released the name and image of a wanted man.
Mitch, police have one suspect they're still looking for over the fatal stabbing, and that suspect is 19-year-old Magari Sari. He's from Shepparton but was last seen 12 days ago in Tarneet. The 19-year-old is known to police. Detectives are working on the basis that he's actively avoiding them, possibly being helped by others. 5 people have been charged over the stabbing death of basketballer Alia Riak. He was attacked while out celebrating his birthday. His brother was seriously injured. 2 of the accused are facing murder charges, Mitch.
Cameron Bowe at Police Headquarters, thank you. The wait for new car buyers is getting longer, with the flood crisis adding to the crippling shortages. It can take up to a year for some new cars to be delivered, while the price of used vehicles continues to skyrocket.
A Kia Sorento will set you back $47,000, but it could be months before you can drive away.
The vehicles are sold out currently for at least 12 months or more.
New cars were already in short supply thanks to COVID and a global microchip shortage. Then came war in Ukraine and an earthquake in Japan. Now 22,000 motor vehicle insurance claims have been lodged in New South Wales and Queensland on the back of the floods.
Even those who've been affected by floods have gone to seek hire cars. A lot of the hire car companies even got rid of their fleets or downsized considerably during the pandemic.
Currently, Toyota has an average wait time of 6 months, but delays on some models are more significant. For a Hilux, it can be up to 155 days, while for a RAV4 hybrid and Land Cruiser, the wait's up to 12 months. A Hyundai i30 or Mitsubishi ASX could take an average 98 days to get to you, while at Kia you'll wait between 3 and 6 months for a Cerato.
It's a bit of a perfect storm, and it's affecting, everything right the way through from cheap hatchbacks all the way through to the most expensive luxurious cars.
The growing wait for new cars is pushing many buyers into the used car market, which in turn is forcing those prices up. Motoring experts say second-hand vehicles are now up to 30% more expensive than they were 2 years ago.
Some brands will come out of it quicker than others, but I would suggest that the whole industry will be fairly tight on stock right the way through into 2023.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
A review into Collingwood's Do Better report says the club is making significant and genuine progress in stamping out systemic racism. 18 of the recommendations have been acted upon, including refining club values, prioritising cultural change and setting up a whistleblower policy to review complaints. There will be an annual audit of changes made. A security deal between the Solomon Islands and China is ready to sign, according to the Prime Minister of the Pacific Island nation. In a defiant speech to his parliament, Manasseh Sogavare accused the West of sowing instability in the region. Australia has opposed the move, which gives China the ability to base warships less than 2,000 kilometres off our coastline. Christmas is 9 months away, but the toy industry is enticing parents to start shopping early. They've announced their top toy picks for 2022, with the toughest critics putting them to the test.
Double, toil and trouble. Could this magic cauldron be the hottest toy in town?
You actually put all your spells in and then eventually this little magic mixie comes out, which is pretty awesome.
These toy critics agree.
I liked when it makes noise and you can pour stuff into it.
It's just one of the must-have toys this year.
Definitely Barbie and Lego have gotten in. There's kinetics, which is a magnetic tiles. There's shoes that you stand in that are trampolines, which are pretty awesome, and the kids actually flocked to those.
What was that like, jumping in those?
It was hard, but it was actually really fun.
The annual awards are decided by the industry's top toy experts.
Retailers, so they're your majors as well as your independents, but then we've also got the kids, so we've got the kids' choice.
And there's more. These toys haven't hit the shops just yet, but when they do later in the year, the judges predict they're going to fly off the shelves. What do you reckon, kids? Yeah! I think that's a yes. So this is a really good predictor of what's going to be under the Christmas tree.
Some of these, yes, definitely, so look out for them.
What will be at the top of your list this year?
Probably a magic mixie. Or that dog where you can shave it.
I saw that was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What's been your favourite so far?
Yeah, all of them.
All of them? Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
That's a good answer. Interest rates are under pressure. Ahead on 7 News, finance editor Gemma Acton explains what to expect and when. Also, how to get cash back while enjoying a night out, anywhere, anytime. And a first look inside the Flower and Garden Show, an exclusive preview coming up on 7 News. Victorians can now get up to $125 off entertainment or dining anywhere in the state. Rochelle Brown is in Yarraville this evening, and Rochelle, it's first in, best dressed for this cashback scheme.
Mitch, you can claim up to 25% of your total bill from today. It's part of a new $60 million scheme to help struggling industries get back on their feet. Customers can claim up to $125 for all dining and entertainment experiences as long as they spend at least $40. The rebates will be automatically available at restaurants and cafes from Monday to Thursday, and at entertainment venues like cinemas and museums every day of the week. But sporting events are not included. Both Victorians and interstate visitors can register and claim the money back, but you must have your receipt. Mitch?
Rochelle Brown at Yarraville, thank you. Tonight's federal budget could push interest rates higher sooner, making home loan repayments a crippling burden for many borrowers. Here's finance editor Gemma Acton.
Well, Peter, an extra $5 billion flowing directly to pensioners and low and middle income earners sounds great, but economists fear that one-off spending boost could push prices even higher. Australians are already sitting on a large nest of savings thanks to the pandemic, and today's February retail figures show we're still spending, up 1.8% from January and the second highest dollar spend on record. Inflation for the December quarter came in at 3.5%. High, yes, but ANZ is forecasting it could approach 5% by June thanks to higher food and petrol prices. With the latest wage growth reading at 2.3%, real wages are already negative, and if inflation continues to outpace wage growth, it'll just get worse. Given Australians have $2 trillion worth of household debt, rising interest rates could also really hurt. Today, the RBA cash rate is 0.1%, but markets expect 7 interest rate rises before year end, taking the cash rate to as high as 1.75%. Peter.
Thank you, Gemma. More than 100,000 people are expected to attend Melbourne's International Flower and Garden Show as the exhibition returns for the first time since the pandemic hit. The show has longer opening hours and even a garden designed by a Grand Slam winner.
At Carlton Gardens, a wonderland for green thumbs. Now, in its 25th year, the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show is back, bigger than ever before.
They refer to the Big Five in terms of flower and garden shows in the world, and the Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show rounds out the top 5.
Opening tomorrow, more than 100,000 people are expected to visit the show. Among them, Victorians who found an appreciation for the outdoors during lockdown.
That's what people have discovered over the last 2 years. It's been a back to nature discovery of how wonderful it is to have green stuff in your life.
This year, the show stretches into the evening with a new autumn night garden. There are workshops and educational sessions, floral displays, and a tranquil space co-designed by 15-time Grand Slam winner and Australian of the Year, Dylan Alcott.
And it really is extremely beautiful. It has many sensory elements. It has many design features that make it a very safe and accessible garden for people of all abilities to enjoy.
This is the first time the show will take place in 3 years due to COVID. It's also the very first event to be held here at the Royal Exhibition Building since it was transformed into a state vaccination hub in March last year. Gates open at 9 a.m. tomorrow with the show running for 5 days. Jodie Lee, 7 News.
Looks fantastic. Sport is next with Tim Watson and Tim. The Bombers are preparing for Operation Petrarca.
They are, Mitch, but the Demons have a backup plan. Details next. Also, Michael Voss takes aim at the AFL as the Blues welcome back 2 stars. Out of hospital but not in the clear for Taron Thomas. The unbeaten Pies take a hit on the injury front, but it's not all bad news. And an Aussie surfing legend out of retirement for one final shot at glory. Welcome back. Michael Voss says West Coast COVID-ravaged round 2 clash should have been called off. The Carlton coach doesn't agree with the AFL's continue at all cost policy, but says they've got no choice but to play ball.
Unlike thousands of Aussies in the past 2 years, working from home won't become the new normal for Michael Voss.
No, horrible.
Keeping an eye on his Blues from the lounge room in COVID isolation was hard enough. Voss says Sunday's Eagles-Kangaroos clash was also a tough watch.
No, I didn't like it, I must admit. But that just felt like it was too much. And it was too far a disadvantage for one team. I think if we really sort of look at it with a clean set of eyes, that didn't feel right.
Forced to make 14 changes, Adam Simpson's side battled on with the help of their COVID top-ups. The AFL drawing a line in the sand for the rest of the season.
Position's been taken, so we've got no choice but to follow through on what standard's been set.
Jack Martin and Adam Chera available for Carlton after dealing with their own COVID isolation as the Blues look to make it 3 from 3 to start the season.
Respect is hard-earned and it's very easily lost. We haven't really achieved much at all, and we've shown some really strong signs that we're heading in the right direction, but the great thing about what I've seen these guys is they've been really hungry.
An unlikely top-of-the-table clash against Hawthorn this Sunday. Chad Wingard an outside chance of overcoming a hamstring injury, while Will Day will return after off-season ankle surgery. Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
Melbourne will be without premiership defenders Jake Lever and Michael Hibberd for a 3rd straight week. The Demons face the winless Bombers, who are weighing up tagging Norm Smith medalist Christian Petrarca.
Already missing Zach Merritt and Nick Cox, plus Dylan Shield still in doubt. Ben Rutten faces the biggest challenge of his early coaching career and growing questions over his lack of a tagger.
If we play a designated tagger in the midfield, well, we don't play one of Parrish, Shield, Merritt, Stringer as well. So we've got to weigh that up. That's the potential cost.
Obliterated by Patrick Dangerfield in round 1, the Bombers chose not to run with a rampant Lachie Neale and stared down an 0-3 start. But will they tag Christian Petrarca or Clayton Oliver Friday night?
There's often there's no right answer. That's why they're difficult.
They're both pretty unique players and pretty special players, and they both have enormous impact for the team. So it would be a tough decision for any opposition coach.
The Demons won't risk Jake Lever's foot and hold no concerns over out-of-contract star Luke Jackson's rising value.
We're really comfortable where it sits with him. He'll get paid what he's deserved over time, and like any player does in our industry.
A shoulder injury ruling forward recruit Nathan Kruger out for a month. Better news for Taylor Adams, over his migraine and ready to face Geelong. With Mason Cox up for selection after his ankle complaint, Jack Ginnivan sporting a fresh look after a breakout game against the Crows. And a major blow for North Melbourne today. Emerging midfielder Taron Thomas was released from hospital with confirmation of internal bruising that will keep him sidelined for up to 8 weeks, stemming from a heavy kick to the body. Yet another blow to the Roos' decimated midfield. At GWS, defender Phil Davis has been ruled out for up to 3 months. The Giants now weighing up sending the veteran for hamstring surgery. And the Cats believe Mark Blitzarves has escaped shoulder injury and should be fit to play Collingwood on Saturday.
today. Tim?
Thanks, Mitch. Still on footy, and there's no timeline on a return to the club for Tigers superstar Dustin Martin. Coach Damien Hardwick was asked if Martin is considering his future in the game.
I think Dustin's taking his time to figure out what he needs to move forward. And as we've spoken about, he's had a really tough 6 months, none tougher than what he's had to deal with, first with injury, then with the loss of his father. And, he just needs the time to heal.
Martin is contracted until 2024. The AFL has confirmed Paddy McCartan has approval to use a mobile phone during matches. The Swans defender is a diabetic and has a sensor strapped to his arm which links to his phone to read blood sugar levels through an app. A medical trainer carries the phone for McCartan. COVID has run through the Aussie camp in Pakistan ahead of tonight's one-dayer in Lahore. Ashton Agar is the latest victim, leaving Australia with just 13 players available to pick from. It comes after Josh Inglis tested positive last night. In New Zealand, Elise Perry will miss tomorrow's semi-final at the One-Day World Cup with a back injury, but will recover in time for Sunday's final if the Aussies make it. Aussie surfing legend Mick Fanning is making a comeback. The three-time world champion has been given a wild card to next month's Bells Beach event.
To go and ring the bell 5 times, no one's ever done it. At the moment, I'm tied with the likes of Kelly Slater and Mark Richards, and they're pretty much the GOAT.
The 40-year-old retired from the tour in 2018. Mitch, that's sport.
And Tim, do you agree with Michael Voss about his views on the Eagles? It's hardly a level playing field, is it, with the decimated by COVID?
No, they were completely decimated. I think they should have capped it maybe at 5 players. So if you were to lose 5, then the game is going to be postponed. And we've seen the last couple of years they can just schedule and fixture it somewhere else. So they
play it another time.
Oh, they can be nimble when they want.
We've got crowds this time, Tim.
Exactly.
Take them into account. Thank you very much indeed. Jane is next with the forecast. And Jane, how's it looking tomorrow?
Well, Mitch, you may want the umbrella later in the day as we'll have showers in the Melbourne area. The full details are next.
Hello, tonight 9:50, a special edition of the latest from 7 News, your first look at the federal budget. What's in it for you? Will it win the government votes? In-depth financial analysis, and the Treasurer joins us. Don't miss that crucial guide. And we're live at Westminster Abbey as the royal family attend Prince Philip's memorial. Hope you can join me, 9:50, the latest from 7 News.
Hello again, live from the Flower and Garden Show. We had grey skies for much of the day, so it started on 16, only rose a few degrees from there. Then pockets of sunshine returned late afternoon as expected, but only reached 20 in the city. The grey sky stretches across these parts of southern Victoria, so mainly the southwest and central districts. Otherwise, apart from that high cloud coming into the far east, it was a sunny day over Victoria. Now that is in stark contrast to the rain to our northeast coming into areas around Sydney. Victoria, Tasmania and South Australia, all protected from the rain by a ridge of high pressure. Torrential rain is coming around the low just off the east coast, and it is slamming into the same areas that had those recent floods. In the west, there are 2 lows bringing rain to them as well, but Victoria's pattern shakes up slightly tomorrow. You can see that cold front coming up and clipping the southeast. The rain continues in both these parts of the west and east. We've been dry in the middle under the high, and the clipping front brings just a tiny bit of rain tomorrow. But after that, a bit of that rain from New South Wales should come around the corner into Gippsland. That's later in the week and on the weekend. And there is the potential for a part of that to reach Melbourne as well. Around the nation tomorrow, not much for Brisbane as the low is moving southwards there in the clear. But Sydney does continue to be wet. In Canberra, up to 5 millimetres tomorrow, while Hobart has the cold front, so they're expecting a burst of showers, mainly in the afternoon. In Adelaide, it's cloudy but dry, and Perth has the risk of showers and thunderstorms. To Victoria, the north remains mild, dry and sunny. Cloud covers the south with local drizzle in the morning, and then that cold front pushes showers in, mainly in the afternoon and evening. Now those showers will become more extensive in Gippsland later at night, and that's ahead of that wraparound rain that sets in for Gippsland for the days to follow. Closer in, the morning is grey again. Then the afternoon, we'll see some sunny breaks in there. But do have the umbrella ready. There are showers passing through in the late afternoon and evening. That's after the city reaches a top of 20. To the 8-day outlook. Now, I hope you like tops of 20 as we have quite a few of them in a row. From Thursday right through to Sunday, I'm expecting 19 or 20 each day. Now, there is a fair bit of cloud out there. On Thursday, we'll still see showers passing through. They're mainly over western suburbs. Friday does look generally dry. Sunny at first, cloud building for the afternoon. Across the weekend, some of that rain from Gippsland may come in from time to time. Generally in the afternoons, I wouldn't expect a lot to add up into the rain gauge. That clears early next week. Wednesday, we might go back up to 23. So another grey morning tomorrow, then sunshine returns early afternoon. It's 20, but then there's a burst of showers late afternoon at night. So the chance of showers at the MCG tomorrow night, Mitch.
OK, thank you very much indeed, Jane. And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 29th of March. Thanks for your company. Ahead tonight, special budget coverage in The Latest, and tomorrow Sunrise is live from the MCG as Victoria prepares to say goodbye to Shane Warne. For now, from the team, good night.